Hey, this is Asbog the Gaming Orc here to talk to you about the Warlock nerfs or stealth nerfs or whatever that were pretty much inevitably going to come in one fashion or another, because I felt like Affliction Warlocks were in a very good position, that we had become basically top tier, or I would just say we could be competitive with melee. I felt like we could be more competitive with them. So I'm going to talk to you about some of the PvP nerfs, the PvE nerfs, and what I thought about them in regards to Affliction mostly, and what you can do with them. And I'm going to talk a little. I know Destro got hit too, so I'm going to talk a little bit about them. You see this sad Warlock here testing against the PvP training dummy, questioning life as we know it, and trying to figure out a spec that works for him. So originally Malefic Rasp last week had 80% damage, and now it's down to 70%. And you're like, oh, big deal, is 10% damage by numbers, but really the scalability reduces the damage by about 14%. And we also have here everything else is the same pretty much. Remember, Soul Harvest got nerfed. Grimoire of Service was actually nerfed, so even in my PvE I use a Grimoire of Supremacy now with the Felguard. But the Honor Talents is where they just recently did the nerf. So if you think about Malefic Grass, the single target damage took a nerf, which was a 14% damage. This really helped out the Warlock's single target damage for PvE. So I guess some people were complaining on the forums about it. But Affliction Warlocks have always had really bad single target damage. But I understand that. It's fine with me, because I'll do multi-cleave damage because we're fighting a lot of mobs. But most boss fights, it appears like, are single target fights, you know. But in the new Nighthold dungeon is where we're excelling, because there's lots of mobs, lots of ads a lot of the time. So we actually get to use our cleave utility a lot. So that helps. Now let's talk about the PvP nerfs. First nerf is Death's Embrace. The money bag. I love this talent. It got nerfed by half. Corruption, Unstable, Affliction, Agony now deal an additional 50%, down from 100%. So this was an amazing talent which allowed. This is a huge nerf to the execute range. What was really cool though is it did its freaking job. If like you talented into it, if people got low, they were dead. Like there was ways for them to they could still pillar you and get away, but this was a huge nerf. Like, or also a few patches ago they nerfed Essence Drain for 2s, I guess, because people were just getting drained down, like, and the damage was being reduced. But it's dispellable. So Death's Embrace, it was nice knowing you, but it's still good. But after you've played with it, you know, as top notch as it was, like, it's just like, why, you know? But I loved it because you could see in my where I've done the recording for the melting them like ice cream, because I knew this nerf was coming, because I was just like, man, we're too strong. You know, I see a 600k dot tick. I knew in World PvP, I knew it was coming. I also crit a guy in the arena for 400k with Death's Embrace. But what's the difference? I mean, Warriors have Execute, and you can dispel this one. You know, you can dispel it. Yeah, I can reapply it, but you can dispel it. I mean, yes, you're going to eat a silence if you have unstables on you. The whole point behind Affliction is if you let the Warlock get 4 or 5 unstables on you, if he's just free casting, like, no problem, like, nobody's on him, and, you know, because he's just, like, he has to be rooted in one spot. Like, you can pillar him a lot of the time. Like, melee can just constantly be moving around. That's how you beat Warlocks. And you have a good healer that's dispelling, where the unstables don't get high enough. Well, then you're not going to... It's very difficult for a Warlock to win, because they can't build up the momentum to beat you. The damage that they're going to output is going to drop significantly. The other nerf was to Endless Affliction. It was nerfed down from 4 seconds to 3 seconds. This wasn't a big deal, in my opinion, because I didn't use it. but it had a lot of utility. Because Soul Shatter, from what I've tried of it, very limited at least. It's a pretty junk. I mean, it's good for RBGs and BGs, but maybe it's good for that because you lose all your dots, you know. So that what Soul Shatter is going to be used for is in BGs, and I can show you some specs maybe. But Endless Affliction is still probably like your go-to thing because it just does an extra 3 seconds of damage. But I feel like they're trying to push people into Soul Shatter because nobody spec'd into it because Death's Embrace was too good. I mean, nerf it a little bit, but like by a half, it's just ridiculous. So the other thing is the big nerf was to Rot and Decay. Rot and Decay. This is a huge nerf. Basically makes, in my opinion, Rot and Decay worthless. I mean, it's not. It's pretty bad now. I mean, like, I wouldn't play it because it's worse than it was ever. I mean, this is worse than it was back in 7.0, I guess. So what they've done is they've made it so the dots do not refresh anymore. It only adds 1 second for each drain that you put on. So it basically sustains the dots that you currently have on them, but does not refresh them to full duration like they used to. And it only refreshes the longest unstable affliction dot. So say you have 5 unstables on someone, it will only allow that so your unstables are going to fall off most of the time, you know, because say you have 4 unstables, it'll only refresh one of those unstable afflictions. And I can try to prove that to you right here, right now. So there's my agony, there's that, there's my second life, which doesn't get refreshed anyways. 1 unstable, 2 unstable, 3 unstable. I'm draining, and you can see my unstables here. Let's see if they fall off. See, they're trying to fall off. They're staying on a little longer than you'd expect. Let's see, there's one that they just fell off, and then that 1 unstable is still trying to stay on. So now you see I'm down to 1 unstable, and I've been draining this whole time. So eventually they fell off. Like, yes, it took a little longer for it to fall off. So it's not like a perfect mathematical thing because each drain tick might affect it. It might be affected by all this stuff might be affected by haste. So real world mechanics, it's not really that good. One last thing is they nerfed the Curse of Shadows down from 30% to 20%. This isn't a big deal again because I didn't really use it, but for people who did want to use it, because that didn't want to go into Rot and Decay, who probably were like, cool, I could use Curse of Shadows instead, and they didn't want to go into Amplify Afflictions. So Amplify Afflictions is always really good. Again, they put in all these. Here's my major complaint. They put on all these cool new talents, but the problem is now they haven't really used them. You know what I mean? Like, so now they just nerfed it. So this is like the world of beta. They put stuff in, they don't test it out, and either it makes warlocks too strong, and then they nerf them way down, or they over nerf them, and it makes people want to quit. Now, unlike a lot of other players, I play a lot of other games. Like, I'm not going to stick with World of Warcraft forever. And this type of stuff really frustrates me because I see how awesome we were, and I was just like, man, I felt like really good. You know, I felt like a good player. I felt like I should be playing. And then, like in Arena too, like I felt really powerful. Even in Burning Crusade when I had good gear, I got all the way up. But so I can talk about what you should do, and then I'll talk about some of the Destro nerfs. I'm not a main Destro player, so you guys can follow Kobrak on YouTube here. He's kind of the Destro guy I follow, and he talked about the nerfs last night actually on his channel. But what I think you could do, and I tried this spec a little bit, kind of the older spec, going back to it, because you could still do this spec. But with Rot and Decay being nerfed so badly, you're going to have a hard. I think it's just, especially for Arena, I just feel like it's going to be unnecessarily challenging against melee. But in BGs, you're going to do okay. But just a spec I might try out is just a Rot and Decay, going back to absolute corruption. Because your unstables, you're going to have them on people, but they're going to be dropping off because Contagion was really good for unstable Affliction because you keep Rot and Decay on someone. But that's been nerfed. Or because absolute corruption is just really good because it stays on people for so long, and it's just good for PvE, so it's nice not just like... Empowered Life Tap is really good too, because if you tap a lot, I felt like my damage would go up, and it does. It goes up by 10%, so it's kind of like almost like Curse of Shadows now, but since you're pretty much always going to have this buff on him, but you have to be consistently tapping, and you're not going to be tapping all the time. So I like probably out for battle. This is more of a battlegrounds because arena, we're back to being a bottom tier player in arena. That's the reality. It's like we went from top tier. It's a it's a balancing act, okay? Like Blizzard over nerfed us. Like we've gone from basically a top tier, really competitive arena spec to, I would say, competitive spec to basically garbage. And destruction, I'm sorry if you're a destruction player, but it's even worse. And I'll get into that later in the video. Check the description if you just want to skip ahead. So I would still go with Siphon Life. I'd still use Mortal Coil because Mortal Coil is still buffed and it's still really good for like shucking melee off. You could use Dark Pack or Demon Skin. I like Demon Skin a little more. You use Grimoire of Service. And I would use Soul Conduit with this spec instead of Phantom Singularity because you want to be able to, I'll tell you why. Because we go to the honor talents, we got to work around the nerfs. I still think Nether Ward is still the best for BGs especially. And this is an arena. Essence Drain is really an arena anti-melee since you're fighting so many melee comps. Death's Embrace is probably still pretty good. But with Rot and Decay being so nerfed, it's probably not so good. You could go with Endless Affliction, but again, it was nerfed. So, and again, you can't keep it up. So, lo and behold, you can use Soul Shatter. And so this is pretty cool, I guess. I mean, I think it's kind of interesting. I would probably bind this to Shift 1 now. For me, personally. And Rot and Decay and Curse of Shadows. I mean, Curse of Shadows is kind of cool, but it's a 30-second cooldown, but the real money is Amplify Afflictions because it basically, you basically are spamming dots on people. So that's what we've been reduced to. And it works well with Soul Shatter probably because you're putting dots on everybody, and every 40s, I would rather have on every minute, I'm increasing damage on people by a lot. The reason why Curse of Shadows probably works so well is in arena, if they couldn't decurse you, they just ate an extra 20% damage. So magical damage over time effects. So this probably worked really well with Shadow Priests, and I didn't even notice this. This probably would really help, but the old spec was probably even better because the draining from Death's Embrace plus Malefic Grasp was just too OP. But if you paired this up with a Shadow, if you probably still do in arena, if you pair this up with the Shadow Priest, you're going to do really like it says magical damage over time effects. So that's including all Shadow stuff, really. Shadow Priest stuff will increase 20% damage bump. Shadow Priest. But for BGs, you don't know who you're playing with. You know, casual battlegrounds, and maybe even threes. I still feel like Amplify Afflictions is probably where you want to go because you're going to get trained down, and that way you move back to this dot cleave spec. You're so nerfed. What I find when I was doing this spec when 7.1.5 initially came out was that we were so nerfed initially that it wasn't that effective. It just seemed like our damage had been uncompetitive with other people compared to the God spec of the videos you've seen on this channel before, where I'm top damage, top healing, top etc. So this is sort of the spec I'm going to be trying. I can show you. The old spec is still decent, but in battlegrounds, but not in arena. Warlocks in arena are probably okay, but they're definitely not top tier anymore. We were definitely moved. We're shut. So a mage died, and a Blizzard developer who plays a mage died, or some developer watched my videos, and then they were like, "Man, we gotta nerf this freaking kid, or we gotta nerf warlocks, because they're just destroying people." I get it. I understand. Hey, I didn't think the nerfs would be this bad. There's a lot of things they could change around. Like, they could make Soul Effigy non-dispellable, for instance. You know, that's just for starters. Like, Phantom Singularity is not dispellable. And it's you know, there's a few nice things to, like, counteract. You know, what makes a great PvP game is the counteraction from players. Is predicting what another player will do, being able to counter that and punish the player from doing XYZ. So they attack you, and if there's a way for you to counter a particular attack, or you can set up a combo where you can counter them, and you can do this in like games like Hearthstone, for instance, with control decks or whatever, just as an example. Demonology, okay, I just talk about a couple nerfs here because it's depressing, okay? Not demonology, I'm sorry, destruction. Destruction got nerfed. I feel sorry for Destruction. So Destruction was originally nerfed. I played it a little bit. I have videos. When the first day 7.1.5 came out, I played everything. Just to try it out, I played all day. And I found the Affliction spec, which is really what I love to play anyways, the best spec. Originally, they nerfed Shadowburn, really, the whole Shadowburn spec, which some players really like Kobrek really like. And I don't know why they did it, okay? Like, I'm in total agreement, but they just try. I feel like Blizzard tries to push people towards things. And this is a spec I saw another Warlock player have that my buddy Night Silver played with. I tried it and I played it out. It was cool. And they nerfed Cataclysm for PvE back in the day for 7.1.5. But this is my spec kind of I use. So it's a Chaos Bolt spec, obviously. So I use everything. You can see everything's pretty much the same. But I guess he used Train of Thought, so you can actually increase your damage, but mind quickness is still pretty cool. But this is more bursty, so I understand Train of Thought if you want to use it. It's probably, but I guess I was reading a comment where something like Kobrek was saying that Chaos Bolt damage was unaffected by Train of Thought, something like that. So it's like bugged or nerfed. Or, again, a lot of things like World of Bugcraft. Like, there's lots of bugs in this game. Because the code, I bet, is just a monster. Because it's a 10-year-old game. So the first major nerf was big nerf, Focus Chaos. Remember, this was awesome. They put this originally in like 7.1, and remember Chaos Bolt, the Chaos Bolt Destruction guys. That became like the go-to spec because it was just so powerful. They were like we were a glass cannon, and Destruction. That's what Destruction should be, is a glass cannon, because we can't move. We have no mobility like a mage. We don't have ice block. We don't have anything like that. So Focus Chaos was the spec, the balancing thing. He got nerfed though, and now Chaos Bolt. I've been reading on the forums, and it wasn't hitting. It's already been nerfed before, okay, and now it's been nerfed again. And I guess they nerfed Cremation. I don't understand, but I can explain a spec I might try. But they had nerfed Firestone. But they nerfed the crit down from 100% to 75% crit. Restores 2 soul shards. It's just not that good. Like, I don't understand it, because with Chaos Bolt you get an automatic critical, and so with Firestone would probably be pretty good if they restored the Shadowburn spec. But Blizzard is pushing people into specs and things, and that's how it works. It feels like that's what they're doing. And then Fellfisher is pretty good, pretty awesome. But with Chaos Bolt being nerfed, I'll tell you a spec I might use if I were to play Destruction. Let's just take a look. So this would be like an Incinerate spec. This is what I was thinking that Blizzard is trying to push people into, is like a pretty powerful incineration spec. Now, I could be a complete idiot when it comes to this stuff. So Chaos, I'm kind of moving away from Chaos Bolt. So I would move to, I'm just trying to think here what I would do, as I would probably put Empowered Life Tap, actually. Because I'm kind of moving, you could use Rain of Fire, actually, so to restore your mana, but I Life Tap, so it's not a big deal. With Destruction, it was kind of cool because you didn't have to Life Tap at all. Because Life Tapping, like, nerfs you in the way. It's like, okay, I get mana back, but I'm nerfing myself. I get it. I go with Fire and Brimstone. So that's kind of what's pretty cool with this spec, is that with the MLA, you kind of like hit everybody with all the immolates. And we're going to go over here. So everything else is kind of the same. You could probably go with Wreak Havoc now. People have been talking about Channel Demon Fire, but I would just rather get with, I guess just since you're building shards up for Rain of Fire, this is more like an AoE, so people are clumped around a flag or a node somewhere, and you're hitting them with the stuff. And then Wreak Havoc's pretty cool, because then you could hit 2 Chaos Bolts on people if you really wanted to. But I just think Soul Conduit has a lot of versatility, because Havoc by itself is really, it falls off. In my experience, it's fallen off really quickly. And then I would use Cremation. Again, I Cremation or Firestone, because Focus Chaos is like, if you haven't gotten what I'm trying to tell you, is it's gone not very well. And then you could try maybe using some of these Entrenched in Flame as a way for you to snare these warriors, but it's been nerfed, you know, and a lot of players, I think, are moving away from it. Fellfisher was pretty cool because it slowed people down. It's like a Mortal Strike. So I never really considered it, and then I tried it out, and I was like, okay, this is actually decent. Again, in like BGs, I don't know about competitive arena with Destruction. I just felt like it's too easy to pillar because you're sitting there casting a massive Chaos Bolt. And this spec is totally towards a BG spec, because we're trying to do clump damage where people are clumped up together. But what's really cool is that people, your Incinerates automatically apply Immolate. So you're developing a ton of shards now, and Conflagrate deals 5% of additional target and maximum health. So that's a way for you to, like, so you get basically do Conflagrate, and if you want to have roots on people, that's fine. But then I don't know how awesome this Bane of Havoc is, but since you're not going into this one, Wreak Havoc, this is just an AoE Incinerate spec. Okay, it's Destruction's in a really bad spot. Okay, they used to be awesome because it was sweet. You could cast huge Chaos Bolts at people and just destroy them. And again, if you're allowing a Warlock just to sit back and freeball cast like a 2-second cast, you deserve to be punished. With so many interrupts, and with Affliction, there's so many dispels. So you know what the truth is behind this whole video? You have to play Demonology. Demonology is decent. It's been nerfed. Remember, you could check out at the end of this video, you can see a link for my Demonology PvP. But since so few players play Demonology, and it's a much more difficult spec to play than either one of those specs for the casual player, Demonology is difficult. There's a lot. It's a very complex spec compared even to most other games. There's just a lot going on to it. It's challenging, but you have the Fell Lord. Okay, like you still have awesome stuff. What do I think the best spec is? So I bet it's tied, if you really want to know the truth, between Destruction's been nerfed so much. Destruction, for all intensive purposes, is dead. I mean, it was dead, and then they rebuffed it with Focus Chaos in 7.1, and it was awesome. And now with it's a tie between Affliction and probably my old spec even, and Demonology. But Demonology might be able to surpass Affliction now, and because there's a lot of idiots who stand in the Fell Lord. Okay, but against 1,800 plus teams, you're fighting better players. They're not going to stand in it. And the Observer is really powerful, but in Arena, it makes me like quiver in like disappointment. I play a lot of other games, so like I'm installing, for some of you people that are old followers of this channel, I'm reinstalling ESO because ESO, there was no standard, there was no cast. I was watching some of my old videos. Check them out on the channel, they're pretty cool. And I'm just going to try out I haven't played ESO in a while, and I'm willing to try it out again. The reason why I quit ESO is because I felt like I beat the game, but now I'm going to come back and see what changes they've done to the game and play it a little bit before For Honor comes out on February 12th. I might play a little bit. One last piece of advice for World of Warcraft Warlock players is mages, for some reason, they seem pretty good. They have blinks, they have a lot of mobility that Warlocks really lack. Probably makes the game... The mobility really makes this game dynamic, and Warlocks, sadly, have just never had it. With Affliction, I loved it. I would give up mobility because I could melt faces. So, like, I would destroy someone, like as you can see in my videos. But with other classes, like I played a warrior, you know, they have 2 charges and heroic leap. So they're much more quicker paced character classes in the game. Mages now have 2 or 3 blinks, from what I understand. Hey, that's really cool. I've seen fire mages, when they get low, they get like this massive dash thing, so they can like basically run away if they need to, which is really cool. And I think they get like, it looks like they almost take like a health pot, so they get like a HP bump. So fire mages seem really cool for like caster classes, because destruction is, you need to tilt. I mean, so so many people can run out of your range if you're casting too. So like many times in battlegrounds, or just in arena, even mostly battlegrounds, people just run out of range. In arenas, you get pillared all the time. So like you're trying to cast a chaos bolt, boom, you're pillared. So that's why Cobrick liked that shadow burn spec, because a lot of things were instant cast, so he doesn't get pummeled. Like, because getting pummeled all the time sucks, you know. It's in this game, pummeling isn't really skillful, like, because I can't counter your pummel. I know when your pummel is coming, like 100% of the time, and there's nothing I can do to counter it. So I just eat a pummel most of the time. The only thing I can do to counter it is cast Unending Resolve, but that's my major cooldown. So you can see in some of my clips, I'll pop it right away to melt the guy's face, but now you lack all that damage and stables are falling off. You know, with unstable Affliction, if you fight good dispellers, and now since all the unstables are falling off, the dispel damage has dropped off significantly. So Warlock's been talking about it. So what they've done is they've nerfed Warlocks too hard. Yes, they'll probably rebuff them, but who knows when and where that will happen. The whole point is that they're not testing. Blizzard, unfortunately, is just not testing this stuff thoroughly out enough. What happens is they put it they overcompensate. They put it in a weekend live. That's the beta test, and then they nerf it, or they get logs of everything that's happening. They don't really get a lot of. They just probably look at a lot of logs and data, and they just try to make a best assessment of like where they should nerf it to, and they nerf it. Because a lot of other classes have been nerfed too, like Demon Hunters got a nerf, Shadow Priest got a nerf. This game was fun, man. It was fun. And now, like with Night Silver and me, we just like to play arena. So this channel is all about PvP videos. Hope this video kind of helped you guys out. I'll put some clips up of some games I played today with this. I also put up the Shadow Priest arena stuff. Follow this channel if you want to. Follow this channel for PvP videos. And I have another Let's Play channel which just has more like PvE content that I put up, like quests and things. You can follow that one too if you want to. You can follow me on Twitch. You can follow me on Twitter. If you like ESO, if you like PvP videos, stick with this channel. Follow it. I'll give you the lowdown. But if you want me to keep playing World of Warcraft, I'm sorry, guys. I mean, this is with Warlocks, it's a love-hate relationship with Blizzard. Like, they love us one minute, and man, they kick us to the curb the next. Hey, guys, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next chapter.